My name is Zach Bingman. I am AgXplore Sales Acceleration Leader. I dabble in a little bit of marketing, a little bit of social media. I've got 3 guests with me here today. If each one of you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, that would be great.
Right on. I am Gunther Kreps. I'm the Executive Vice President for AgXplore, and I live in Rossville, Indiana.
My name's Tim Gutwein. I'm the CEO of AgXplore.
How do you follow that? I'm John Murphy. I'm the Director of Agronomy, and I live in Southwest Missouri.
Yeah. So we've had. When I started talking, I almost said good afternoon because we've recorded a lot of content today. We've had a common theme, and that's been family. And AgXplore seems to be synonymous with each other. So I'm just going to start by asking what family means to each one of you guys, and again, we'll go down the line.
How about, John, you start this one? I'll end this one.
Oh, man. When I kind of think about family and I just think about life, I mean, I think, let's be real, family is what drives everything that we do. And I mean, whether it's your kids at home, your wife at home, trying to provide for where they are and look toward the future, that's what family really means, right? As a dad, as a husband, we want to provide, we want to make sure that we're giving them, I mean, what we hope to, but then also looking at what the future looks like. Now, I mean, I look at my oldest son, he's about to turn 20, and I hope I've set a stage for him. And because I want him to be able to excel in what he wants to do. And it's crazy, as we get a little bit older, we realize how little time we have with them. Yeah. And you think about what have we done in order to help set that to make them who they are. And I've been blessed, I'll be honest with you. I have 5 phenomenal kids, an amazing wife that keeps things going while we're out on the road. And so family really is everything that I am.
John, one of the things I love about you is the way you incorporate your family in your work. So you do that podcast on Friday, and your daughter's there with you, and even just the work ethic that your son displays, taking care of the farm while you're out on the road. So
definitely, and you have to incorporate it in because we have to mesh everything together. And like this summer, my family's going on the road with me, right? You guys have approved for me to hook up our RV, and we're going to travel east, and then we're going to travel north, and they'll probably be tired of me, but they're going to get a chance to go across all the United States with it.
Yep. Good stuff.
Go ahead, Tim.
Wow, family for me is, I think, oftentimes we think of work as the end, like we work to do work, but I think for me, family or work is something that I do so that I can do family, right? And so, as a business owner, as a business leader, I want to make sure that work doesn't supersede family. And so one of the things that we try to do as a company is really make sure our people have opportunities to be with family when it's important. So we close down around important holidays. When there's sickness in a family or something, we encourage our employees to be with their family during those times. And so I think that's something that's just so critical to who we are. So work doesn't need to be the end, right? It's just a means to live the life that we want to live. And so many of our people give so much of their time to the company. And so when they have those opportunities to be with family, and even like Annabelle being here today, it's great to be able to incorporate family with work. I'm fortunate to have Dana here today with me as well. So it's awesome to have family here.
Yeah, Gunny?
Zach, I've traveled for a lot of years. I'm one of those that's got wheels or wings will travel. And I have, for 17 of the last 25 years, I've been out on the road, and I typically spend about 100+ nights a year gone from my family. And I do it for my family, right? It's a sacrifice that I make for my family. And it's just a life that works for us and at our household. I'm fortunate today, like you pointed out, Annabelle out here. Her and Andrea, my wife Andrea, Annabelle's mama, is here with me today, which is pretty special because they have never, ever traveled with me, right? Yep. So this is a very special event for us. Just having her sit out there and seeing her little face and watching Dad I actually do work, Annabelle. This is a real job. So, but on top of that, it's not just the family I go home to on the weekends or nights. It's the faces that I see in the crowd, the Amandas and Bens and Bryce of the world, Zachs of the world, right? That's family to me too. So it's we treat each other like family. We bicker like family, but we celebrate like family. Yep. So. It's pretty awesome, pretty special place to be.
So we've mentioned Annabelle a couple times. Give us some background on Annabelle and how you've worked with her on talking products and how she's done some presentations on our products.
Yeah, so Annabelle's going to be my little seller. Years ago, she watched a movie and we were talking about sales, and she came up and I said, "Now, Annabelle, sell me something." And she grabbed this pillow, and she's like, you need this pillow. And she started giving all the explanations of why you need the pillow. And I'm like, this girl gets how you need to sell. You explained the why you need it.
That's right.
Right? And she sold me a pillow. And Annabelle is one of those that's a sponge for knowledge, right? So she's very attentive on and intentional on listening. And this past year, Zach, at Andrea and I, we donated 11.5 acres to the FFA chapter, right, to be able to have them opportunity for a career plot to learn what jobs are in agriculture like ours, right, that are off the farm. And Annabelle was I believe the only middle schooler that participated. I guess there was two. There was Lucas participated as well. But she took it upon herself to study products. She talked about architect, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Right? So she talked about architect and stood in front of a crowd and was courageous enough to stand up there in front of Top Crop TV when they were filming it and was able to give a presentation much like Dad, right? She might have done a better job than what Dad did. So, but Annabelle is very musically gifted. She plays 9 different instruments. She works really hard. She got a perfect score in a solo and ensemble, which is the first time in her school's history. Very proud of her for that. So she's our little rock star.
Well, while we're on the topic, why don't we go ahead and bring her up here, and
Come
you can
on
ask
up.
her a couple questions.
Come on up, Annabelle.
Sorry about stealing your headset there.
Welcome, baby girl.
Hi, Dad.
So Annabelle, what's it like being the kid of a traveling agronomist?
See you like once a week.
Once a week,
Hear you talk about corn.
we
Yeah.
talk about corn. Do you ever get tired of me talking about corn? Do you really? You're supposed to say no, right? So Annabelle, you've never seen me in action before, right? We've one time made it down to our production facility in Cape Girardeau area, but you've never actually seen Dad talk in front of a crowd before. What'd you think today?
I think I get some skills from you because I'm not afraid of public speaking. And you're pretty good at your job, actually.
You got this. You got this. You're going to get that money later. But, Annabelle, being able to talk in front of people is not what everybody likes to do. But I know that you love to do it. And like Mom says, when the good Lord gave the gift to Gab, we got in line twice, right? So that's something that we enjoy to do. But, Annabelle, you've had an opportunity. When I bring other employees from AgX down they stay at our house, right?
Yep.
As you look around this room, there's a lot of people that have stayed at our house, and you've got to know over the years. Like Bryce has stayed at our house all the way from Alaska, and Tim stays at our house, and Brent and John has stayed at our house. Zach has stayed at our house. We've had a lot of people, right? Ben has stayed at our house, right, with his wife Megan. So, kind of a cool opportunity for you to get to meet the people that I do work with and know that they're real life people.
Yep.
So, questions for Annabelle? You're one of few words today, not very often. Anything you'd like to add to it today?
Hi, Tim.
Hey, Annabelle, how are you?
Good job, kiddo. Thank you.
Awesome. So Gunny and Tim, one thing I oftentimes think about is we think about family and we think about AgX as the legacy that we want to leave. And so I'm just kind of curious, when you guys think about where you are in your career and what it looks like with your family, what's a legacy that you want to leave with AgX and our family and the way it all works together?
So I think for me, there's a couple of things that, as a legacy goes. One is the culture of the company and treating people well, and part of that means treating people in such a way that they can be available for their family when they need to be. So I think that's one of the legacies. I think the other thing is just creating a company where people want to work, want to be here, and allowing people to kind of rise to their best potential. And I think, John, you're a great example of that. You came to work with AgXplore a little over a year ago. We kind of had you in one role, and it became really obvious really quick
That I lied.
that you had way more to offer than what we were initially thinking about with you. And so I think within just a few months, we promoted you to Director of Agronomy, and just completely changing the way we go to market on our products. So I think that's the other thing. The other legacy is just allowing people to flourish, and really, instead of trying to force people into a role, is letting them kind of develop the role that best suits their personality and their qualities and skills.
I love that, right? Be able to build things around people so they can help improve them, right? Gunny, what do you think about with a legacy?
Years ago, I had a person tell me one time that only presidents and kings can leave legacies. And I think that's a bunch of bull. I think us, in our own ways, can leave individual legacies in life, right? For me, I hope that when I'm remembered, when someday I fade off into the sunset, right, I hope that I'm not remembered by the products that I developed, right, the architects and the onward type products. I hope that I'm remembered by the lives that I impacted, because this job has given me the opportunity to impact a lot of people and try to help make them be successful in life.
Definitely.
Something I've learned, John. And when it comes to the road to success, it's very lonely if you do it by yourself.
Yep.
Right? It is much better when you take others with you.
Definitely.
And I think that's one thing that our culture allows for.
Yep.
Right. So if I win, I promise you, there's somebody else that has won before me.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's our intent. So my legacy, I hope it's in the lives that I impacted.
Awesome. No, I mean, that word legacy just kind of came to my mind because when we think in agriculture, and I get a chance to interview lots of people, sometimes random, but a lot of times the question I like to ask them is, how many generations has the farm been in your family? Right, because that gets to be a legacy. I think about a company here, 25 years, right? We're building a legacy. And then I think about myself, and Zach, you're a new father, so you're going to start to experience this.
That's right.
But we think, man, what legacy do I want to pass down? And I'm blessed because I have kids that want to take over the farm. In fact, like you said, my oldest already runs it for us while I'm on the road. But I think about the opportunities that we can give that, but it's also due to the fact that we have the opportunities here. And so that we can drive that legacy. And I hope at some point, and I'll be long gone, that my family's in my farm is in my family for 4 or 5 generations. But we get to set the first stone, right? We can think about it as stairs going up. Everything supports one another. And I just think when I hear you guys, that's what we say about here as well.
Absolutely.
Something I would like to talk about is how us being independently owned, family owned, separates us in the market.
Yep.
So, Gunny, Tim, John, would you guys mind expanding on what that does for us out when we are talking to the growers, when we are talking to the 4th, 5th generation farmer?
Yep. You want me to go first?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so being family owned means a lot to me. I'd spent some time in the corporate world, and I had a great experience, right? But I've had an even better experience working for a family owned entity. Something about family owned is a handshake still means something to us, right? We can not have to jump through a bunch of hoops to make decisions, right? So we have that autonomy to be able to function at a capacity that's efficient, right? And do things that are unique in the marketplace that you just can't get done in some corporate worlds. So it's been very special to me, and I've just absolutely enjoyed it. You know, in our space, we are the largest family-owned plant nutrition company in our space, right? And being the largest is not what's important to myself, Tim, or John, or anybody at AgXplore. It's about being the best, right? And I think our family has made a culture that we are the best in this space.
Yeah. What does it do for us as far as flexibility-wise, being able to help the customer out at any point in time, pretty much on a whim?
Yeah, so we've been able to pivot at many circumstances. So we've had customers that come to us with private label opportunities that are quick conversations, and then on to the lab work, right, to be able to build something that will fit that customer's need. A lot of times we get, hey, can you add this extra nutrient to what you've already got type scenario. Being that we're family owned, we have that ability to do and pivot on those opportunities to help that customer service his needs, so he or she does not have multiple products to dump in a jug. You know, one of our branded products that we have that comes from a request like that is actually Upward. People were taking Prevent NXT and Inferno and Octane and dumping them together and like, hey, could you build this together? You know what? Absolutely we can. And that's what we were able to accomplish, and that's the ability of our company to do, is to pivot and be able to build a product like Upward. It's an all-in-one.
Yeah. Tim?
Wow. So I think being family-owned for us, I think, means a couple of things. Number one is independence. So we're not answering to a big board of directors. We're not answering to people from a long ways away. Our boss really is our customer. And so it gives us the opportunity to be independent and bring as much value as possible. I think, to tag on to what Gunny said, I think it also allows us to be nimble and fast-moving. We don't have lots and lots of layers of bureaucracy and management. And so to Gunny's point, I think when a new idea comes our way, we're able to execute very quickly. And I think the other thing is bringing value to our customers. So family, if you really think about it, family's relationships, right? And so we build relationships with our customers. We have quite a few here at this event this week, but they're here because they want to be here. They're here because we want them to be here, and we're friends. We do stuff together. Yeah. And as we build those relationships, I think we're able to go deeper and bring more value as opposed to just offering a product for sale.
Yeah.
Definitely. And Tim kind of grabbed the word that I was going to bring up. I mean, Ben's out here, my counterpart, and when we think about agriculture, it's all relationship based. I mean, everything is. We have to have a relationship. We need to build trust, right? And then that trust turns into sales and hopefully a future for us. And I can tell you, I've been in the industry long enough that I'm not sure I can name another company that I have the owner and CEO's cell phone, and he's texted me happy birthday before. And I don't know that I've ever been in a company, including at universities, where the owner of that company comes to individual meetings that have been set up just to help build that relationship. And so that's what I really think about with this company, is that Tim and Gunny, I mean, everybody else is all available to build those relationships, because it's all about the one-on-one in order to gain the trust so that we can move forward for a future.
Yeah, and this didn't just happen overnight. And one thing we have not talked about today is the logo sitting right behind us, the 25 years. Would you guys kind of elaborate on what being a 25-year-old company now means to you?
Yeah. So 25 years for us means we have a lot of experience. We've learned how not to do things. But I really think in the last 5 or so years, we've really figured out what we're doing. And so the quality of product that we bring to the market and the response that we're seeing in the field, thanks to Gunther, thanks to John and Ben and the efforts that they do. 25 years, I think, puts us in a place that very few companies can say, we know what we're doing. We know how our products work. We know how to bring value.
Yeah. John, Gunny, you guys want to elaborate on that?
And I just think about, 25 years, but then the products are made and the history that goes with it, right? It's not that we just popped up and we're promising, oh, this is going to do this, right? The resources have been invested to show how we're supposed to place it. Right? Our products are made right here, or not right here in Missouri. We're in Colorado right now, my bad. But we make them, though, because investments have been made to make sure we have another 25 years, right? It's not a short term. That's one thing I learned with Tim and Gunny. We're not looking 30 days or 3 years down the road. We're looking at what the next 25 years looks like, and we're building for that future.
Right.
And I think that's a really valid point, John, because if you're corporate owned or if you're private equity owned or whatever, their time frame is much shorter than ours, right? Ours is a long-term perspective, and so I think we execute based on a longer-term perspective, and I think that brings value for our employees, it brings value for our customers. We're not trying to figure out how to goose this thing for as much money as possible in the next 30 days or next 30 months, right? It's how do we become viable for a long, long time?
And that builds trust in my eyes. I mean, that was one thing that attracted me to the company when I came here, was that we were family owned, and it wasn't here for 13 months. We've been here for 25 years.
We'll be here 25 more, and
That's
then
right.
some.
Yeah, that's right.
That's my moral of the story.
Yeah.
You know, Tim, you made a comment about we're not here to build up and sell off, right? We get calls all the time, right? Of would we turn this company? And the answer is no. Right? Proudly no. We are going to stay family owned, and this is what we're going to do in this space. And I'm proud to be here.
Yeah. So we just a couple years ago just moved to Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Tim, can you talk about where we started and kind of what led us to moving to Cape Girardeau?
Sure. So the founder of our company is from a small town called Parma, Missouri, and that's where we operated for the first 20 years. But what we found is that we were just sort of outgrowing that infrastructure. We just didn't have the availability of resources, electricity, and people, and just a lot of the stuff that we needed. And so a few years back, we purchased a facility in Scott City, Missouri, which is basically Cape Girardeau, and really built a new facility that is technologically so much farther advanced than what we had in the past. So quality control is way up. Safety is way up. Just all the things that are important to us. We've just done a much better job, I think, in the last few years.
Yeah. And Gunny, you've been pretty involved with the operations. That little 5,000 square foot warehouse we had in Parma to now what we have in Scott City, what has that done for us?
It's incredible. Our capacity to be able to produce and be able to pivot and be able to manufacture on demand is just exponential compared to what it used to be. When I first came to AgXplore and joined you, Tim, back in 2018, right before you bought the founder out and really changed the culture and direction of this company, AgXplore owned a blender, and another company that was manufacturing the other half of products owned one blender. So combined, there was 2 blenders that was making all of our products at AgXplore. Today, we have 6. Right, and Tim and I and some others are also in conversations about adding 2 more. So our growth in the last 6 years has just been exponential, and we need extra capacity on top of where we're at. You know, we thought about Parma, and then we decided to build somewhere else. And we bought a plant, and we built a huge facility in that Scott City, Cape Girardeau area, with the expectations that everything would go there eventually. When we look at Parma, we've already had to expand Parma.
Yeah.
Like we recently did an expansion on GrowPack AI because of the extreme success we've had with that product, being our fastest growing product right now currently. So not only are we not just focusing on one, we're revamping and building up the old facility.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that has happened interestingly is as we brought on the new facility, we call it Nash, but as we brought Nash online and built that one up, there's this saying, iron sharpens iron, and we've seen the Parma folks like really step up their game. Not that they were doing a bad job before, but I think just we've all upped our game, and once again, safety, quality control, the work environment, everything is so much better for our people, and it's been really interesting to watch these guys elevate each other.
Yep. And so we've been able to take that facility and break bread with a lot of our customers. I don't know if we expected the kitchen to be as useful as it is. Will you guys dive into what we do with our customers and just sitting down with them and walking through a tour with them?
Sure. So we're talking about family, right?
Yeah.
And so when I have friends over, when we have family over, we spend most of our time in the kitchen. And that's just where we tend to congregate and where we tend to spend time. And so one night, Gunny and I were just visiting, and I said, Gunny, what if we could do this with our customers? What if we could hang out in the kitchen with our customers? And so we built a new office complex, and in the building of that complex, we built out in my view, a very nice kitchen dining area. And when we have customers come visit us, instead of going to a restaurant, we hang out in the kitchen.
Right.
And so we're able to build those relationships and hang out. And it's just a much more natural setting as opposed to sitting across the desk from somebody and having a business meeting. I think something really unique happens when you hang out in the kitchen together. And so that's what we do. We have a lot of fun.
It's full hands on deck. We're not generally getting pizza, right?
Right.
We're cooking in the kitchen and sitting there breaking bread with them. What has been the feedback from the customers, Gunny?
Oh, it's been phenomenal. Like, this is a memorable experience. Every company you go to and you go and you have a conversation with them, you go out to a loud restaurant, you can only pay attention to one person at a time and not focus on other people. On this, you can have the whole group involved and actually hear what the conversation and what's happening. And it just creates such an experience. I get emails and calls and texts afterwards thanking us for the experience that we have and just saying what a cool experience it is. Amanda Hunt comes in and is a spectacular cook. She's great at work doing the marketing and doing a lot of the administrative stuff behind the scenes to keep us all sane, right? But she loves to cook, and she is a wonderful cook, and she just gives such a great presentation, and farmers, I'm sorry, not farmers, but the retailers that come in and visit us just absolutely love it.
Yep.
So it's a great response. And it's one of my favorite things to do. In fact, I should do nothing more than host customers in that event and eat Amanda's food.
John, I missed you, and I want to come back to what we were talking about. So you started a year ago.
Yep.
And when you and I first started talking, did you know anything about AgXplore?
So we did. Actually, I taught a soil fertility class, and once a month on Fridays, I would bring in breakfast, and we would actually delve into things that were being published and podcasts. And so we had actually dug into some of the work that you guys had done. And so I knew just a little bit of background, but not fully.
Just to be dangerous, right?
Yep, just to be dangerous. But the one thing that really impressed me coming from a university setting, and I spent time at Kansas State and I spent time at a small university in Missouri, was the level of professionalism when you walk into Nash Road, right? Sometimes we can have family and we can have professionalism, and it's hard to balance those. But we walk into Nash Road and we have a staff of chemists, right? We have a state-of-the-art lab that's going to be in there, and we have the ager, right, where we can accelerate how much aging goes into our products. And that really impressed me. And then we go out to where everything's made and it's nice and clean. And let's just be honest, it is really well lit. And we have everything organized, and we have rooms that have safety in there, and we have static mixers, right? Everything that we need to be able to accomplish it, but we still have the family atmosphere.
Yeah.
You know what? Thanks for pointing that out, John. Because I think sometimes we can mistake like family with casual.
Yes.
Right. And we can have good family relationships and yet show up professionally. And that's something that I thank you for saying that, because I think that's really important to us as well. Our people show up, they're there to be professional, they're there to do a great job, and they take this very seriously.
Completely, but you guys have been able to find that balance though, right? Because people want to be comfortable as well.
Yeah.
They want to be comfortable, but they want to know that the products are backed by what we say they're backed by. And you guys have been able to develop that, and I think that's one reason as we look at the 25 years, we have another 25 coming.
Yep.
Yep. So I've got one last question that I'll end with, but does anybody want to talk about anything? Am I missing on anything that you guys want to dive into? Good. Okay. So I just want to end with where we're going, and where we're taking this family, this one big family. If each one of you want to take it in your own path with each one of your teams, that would be great.
Go ahead, John.
All right. So kind of from the agronomy side, right, I want to say that there's two areas that we're really going to delve into in the coming years: education and research. Right, and the investments have already been made. I would say the infrastructure is already in place. And so we want to be known for being able to educate about why we want to use something, why that timing, and prove that it needs to be used agronomically. And I think we've already done that. We already have our staff getting put into place with Ben. And that's a passion I have, right? I spent almost 20 years at the college setting, and I really love to be able to educate. But the second side of that then is being able to tell the full story through research. Not that just Gunny or Tim or myself say, oh, we build a bigger plant or we put more rounds on. We want to be able to explain why, so that we can still help to drive ROI, because at the end of the day, that's really what it's about. So moving forward over the next few years, that's really what I see a push from the agronomy side, is the education and then the true research to back up what we're doing.
Yeah.
Tim, can I go next and you
Yeah,
end this one?
absolutely.
Yep. So Zach, for me, when I think about our direction and where we're going next, we're going to continue to challenge the status quo when it comes to product development and technologies, right? You know, we are known for cross-pollinating technologies to give a synergistic effect and see the performance that we see from the data and the team that John and his agronomy team has got. So we're going to continue to challenge that status quo, but look forward to more pharmaceutical-grade active ingredients coming from AgXplore. John and I have a very big international trip coming up. We've got some exciting stuff that is coming next.
You don't want to give us any more insight?
No. This is next year's 2026 Commodity Classic. We'll
All
be
right.
launched. So
Okay.
we have some first ever regulated stuff from EPA that we're working with EPA that is going to be next generation.
Great.
So we're super excited about that. We're going to challenge the status quo on how we farm and what we do. We're going to focus in on that education like he talked about, and we're going to explain the why we do what we do before we ever sell a product.
Yeah. Tim, you want to finish us off?
Yeah, so a couple of things come to mind as I think about the future. Number one is creating opportunity for people. And so AgXplore has, I think, been a place where people have been able to grow. And so we want to make sure that we continue to offer those kind of growth opportunities for our people, and allowing them to really flourish and do well in what they do and love what they do. But I think I still want to circle back to trust, right, John? If we don't cultivate trust with our customers, all of this is for nothing, right?
Agree.
And so I think one of the things that we're investing heavily in going forward is research. Anybody can build a product, right? And they might even be good products, but if you use them incorrectly, they're useless. And so it's just a waste of money. So it's so critical that we make a recommendation. Not only do we have a great product that we're recommending, but that we know how to use it, when to use it. And so I think that's our really big commitment moving forward, is making sure that when we make a recommendation, that it's backed by sound agronomics, it's backed by a good understanding of when and where and why.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you guys for joining us. Everybody in the crowd, thank you for joining us. 2025 Commodity Classic, thank you for joining us. We will see you in San Antonio next year.